Okay, so I'm here with none other than the legend Michael Stollaire to talk about what's going on with titanium, what you should be excited about, and just generally trying to get to know each other and see, just see what's going on. So first of all, I've got to say, I did a bit of digging, but before I found out about, or when I first found out about titanium, I did a lot of research and I couldn't find much information about EHI. So instead, I searched for your name. And then I came across your albums. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I too am a guitarist. In fact, I used to have a Jackson Dinky once upon a time, and I do believe I saw a picture of you with a Jackson. So, so what happened? What killed your soul and made you go into business and drop the music?
Oh no, nothing. No, I've been in bands since I was 13 years old. I was in my uncle's rock and roll revival band. At first I was a roadie, and I did the mixing to make sure everything was sounding good. And then they had a flaky keyboardist, how, most artists are they going to show up? I don't know. that kind of thing. And so they got sick and tired. He didn't show up 2 times in a row. And the first instrument that I learned was piano. I took 8 years of classical lessons from our church organist, Mrs. Trepka, and that came in handy that night because when that dude didn't show up, I jumped in and played synth.
Awesome.
Ever since then, I've been, guitar is my real instrument. I just, I can hold my own with keys, but my real instruments, here, you probably figured that out,
I've actually got one of your albums now. A Little Princess, great tune.
Yeah. People keep asking, who is that girl? I just think
awesome.
It's going to be a mystery.
So, dude, absolute pleasure to talk to you. There's a load of FUD. The first thing I want to talk about is the bullshit FUD about that's going around at the moment. I keep seeing the same questions. So it's obvious that there's been a FUD campaign somewhere. And it's usually things like, we can't prove the partnership, you can't prove this, and all of that. But really, I think that it's probably, from your message to Cato this morning, it kind of, I understand, it stems from Verge.
Wait, I promised something to this gentleman. Shout out to Cato. Thank you, sir.
There you go, Cato. I never say his name normally. I just say the researcher.
But Cato's so cool. It's like, where's Bruce Lee?
Yeah, I know. I really do. I feel very Green Hornet working with Cato. It's quite awesome. But so you used to work just to let everybody know. The titanium's not the first thing you've done, is it? Within crypto, you had a spell with Verge. I understand. Just before the price of Verge went through the roof. I understand. Which looked good.
Yeah, coincidentally.
Yeah. What happened there?
Well, in short, I was an investor first. I held 20 million Verge, and I just kept on seeing this price sine wave going on, and I'm like, what's going on here? I did my research like you did, and I thought they had stellar technology. I thought that they could be the next Monero, except better, for various reasons. And I just didn't see it taken off, so I, thought it over, and I figured, that what was missing was marketing and sales, that you can't, if you can have the best product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, it's going to fail. And they didn't really have a spokesman. They didn't really have a salesman. There was, nothing going on outside. Everybody kept complaining about not hearing anything from the Verge black box, including me. So my first job out of college wasn't computer science. It was marketing communications, an advertisement at Eastman Kodak Company in Rochester, New York, in the youth segment. So I kind of got the rust off the bicycle. A target audience for blockchain and cryptocurrency is exactly the same. And I started knocking on the door, and I knew that the Verge team was all volunteers, and so I started volunteering. Like the Red Cross. I just kept on banging on the door, and I knew that if I banged on it long enough, they'd probably get sick and tired of this Stollaire guy and say, sure, I'll let you give it, we'll give you a spin, and that's what ended up happening. And the rest. I started being, within the team, they called me the face and voice of Verge, and I became somewhat infamous for reaching out to the public and acting like a normal guy, which that's what I am. And I became, through trial and error and patience and a bit of talent, known for listing assets on exchanges in cryptocurrency lands. But they were unlike me, For me, it was, not Flint McSteel or anything like that, but for me, it was kind of like herding cats sometimes. Most of the most of the marketing and advertisement ideas and the ideas about Titanium were brought to Verge first. Our hardware wallet was something I brought to Verge. I said, hey, let's do this hardware wallet. It's going to be so cool. Nobody else has done this. And they said no. And the T-shirt promotion, no. There was just a long list of no's. And I have my threshold for no. And it was hit, And I'm like, okay, if you're not going to do it, then I'll do it myself. I got sick and tired of ICOs, good ICOs coming. And I was running one day, my infamous runs, and I'm like, there's an angel and devil thing going on, like the old movies. And the devil's like, Mike, just give up. Stop looking at those damn ICO emails. Nothing good's ever going to come of this anyway. Nobody's going to take full advantage of Ethereum, for example, And then the angel's like, Michael, you are named after a rather powerful angel. You should be, paying attention to me over here. If you're sick and tired of waiting for a good ICO to come along, you do it.
Nice.
And so that was it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do one. What do I do? What do I do? And so I had lots of problems. My EHI clients, Disney, Intel, wherever I went, it was like a 10% chance that Azure or Amazon Web Services was down. 2-3 weeks ago, it happened with Azure. I'm not going to go into details as to why. It just wouldn't have happened to Titanium, is what I'd say. And Bittrex and Binance went down for hours. You can, and I immediately got in touch with them as soon as somebody told me, because I've got people search for Azure and Amazon outages and tell me about them so I can get in touch with the companies that experienced it while they're in pain and suffering, land. And I got in touch with Binance and Bittrex, and I'm like, okay, I told you so. That wouldn't happen if you were on Titanium, right? And they were down for hours, and they lost millions of dollars in transaction fees. I mean, what needs to happen for these people to kind of wake up and realize that that's not so good, in comparison with the future is. So there you go. I got sick and tired of Verge, and it's like, without Verge, though, I have to thank them for upsetting me to the point where I gave up. And I said, okay, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it over here. And, Titanium was born.
Cool, man. Cool. So, in terms of what you do with your main company EHI and now with Titanium, I did notice a lot of very similar services that you kind of offer, the kind of company infrastructure and stuff. What exactly? It's quite I wouldn't say vague, but if you're not looking for that sort of information, when you go to EHI, it's like I don't really understand. Where you fit in, I see certain terms like security advisors, infrastructure, and all that sort of stuff. In a nutshell, what sort of thing do you do for your clients there, and is it something that we can expect in a better way with Titanium moving forward?
Yeah, it's going to be the same at first, but I'll explain. We do a little bit of the security stuff. If you want to use collegiate or you'd say university, right, terms. Our major is enterprise management. Okay, our minor is, security, penetration tests and making sure that the typical exploits that are out there cannot be used against our customers. But most of what we do is enterprise management, and we're professional services, entirely virtual since 1999. And enterprise management is really easy. It's a bit of software, a specialized software set. IBM Tivoli, HP OpenView, EMC Smart, Cisco Works. There's BMC Patrol, and now it's called ProactiveNet. These are the big players. And what you do is there's a series of tools that you implement in the environment, and everybody's got their own technical requirements. But in a layman's terms, once the software is deployed, it starts watching the customer's network and everything attached to it. And if anything is dead, it attempts to do the Lazarus on it and resurrect it automatically.
Okay.
If something is sick, it heals it, okay? And it tries 5 times. Like, here are the 5 things you should try to do this automatically with enterprise management software. And if the 5th one fails in this particular case, then it will do 2 things. It will open a ticket. There's various ticketing trouble ticket, like you'd open with technical support, ServiceNow and Remedy and Jira are 3 big examples of ticketing systems. And it also can send, a text page to the person that's on call for whatever it is, an Oracle database issue or Microsoft, Exchange, whatever it might be. And so that's it in a nutshell. And why is it so hard to find information about EHI? There's a good reason for that, because our specialty is basically acting like a chameleon. Now, an example is, this past year, Accenture. They brought 3 EHI resources in, myself, Jason McBride, and Dave Rowley. They're on our team. They're EHI resources that are now being leveraged against Titanium but we act as Accenture employees.
Okay.
This is the point. We are supposed to be Accenture. That nobody's supposed to know. That we're not. That we're staff augmentation. Because that's staff augmentation. So we act as chameleons. We come in with their polo shirt on. We have their business cards. We have email addresses that are Accenture, et cetera. And so there's a good reason why I didn't do with EHI what I did with Titanium. There's no search engine optimization. I don't really want people to find us, because then they find out that Accenture really didn't have, in this case. I can speak freely about it because obviously now Titanium's the future, so I can let the rabbit out of the hat or whatever. But these companies that have engaged us don't want their customers to know that Accenture doesn't have premium talent in the enterprise management space, right? So
Awesome.
That's why, there you go.
Cool.
How's that?
So yeah, that's cool, man. So your so like kind of your end game then is, well, the main thing that you're trying to do then is ensure uptime for businesses, by the sounds of it.
Uptime, performance, and cost are the big things with Titanium. It's up significantly better. I can't promise numbers because our legal team said not to. I'd love to give you some numbers. Better availability. That means better uptime, better performance all the time. And it's a fraction of the cost. I can't give you numbers again, but it's rather obvious to any businessman. Okay, it's up all the time, it's performing well all the time, and it costs less. So I can go into any company and basically say, if I reduce the bottom line of your IT infrastructure cost by X%, then you can put that into, for example, marketing and advertisement, or more resources into personnel, and things like that, and you have an unfair advantage against your competition.
I don't know if you've seen the Facebook movie, but I know there's a section in the movie where they talk about uptime a lot. Like that is like the most important thing. It's like they're saying if people go to the site and it's fucking not there, that's it. We're dead. It's over before it's even started.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people right now that are buying into a lot of ICOs and projects and stuff don't really see the validity of what the projects are. They're just going, oh, yeah, that sounds good. I'll get that. Whereas I kind of saw.
Not good. Cool, right?
One of the things where you got me, by the way, I have to say this, it fucking made me laugh out loud. There was, it was on a Bitcoin talk forum, and you're talking about the word disrupt. And you're like, yeah, well, where I'm from, disrupt is like earthquakes and stuff. But then you see these things like, we're going to disrupt the banana industry. I was like, oh, well, this guy's awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the things that got me, in that angel devil thing. It's like, I'm looking at these ICOs. Okay, at first I was excited, and then it was, wah, wah, wah. As time went on, I was like, what's going on? I mean, banana coin, I'm like, are you serious? I read this book about, it's here, I'll bring out one of my props here. I read this book. It's a great book about Ethereum. 80% of it anybody can understand. I highly recommend it. No, I don't get, kickbacks on this book or anything like that. Before I get kickbacks, that's going to be the next FUD. In that book, it's 100%. Right. It's written by an IBM guy, and 80% of it my mom can understand. And when I read that book, I was just like blown away. Anybody that knows me knows I'm an extreme Ethereum bigot. Now it's got its problems, but it's not. Bitcoin, it was great in 2009, but all it does is send money between me and you. It's an application that lies. Ethereum can create autonomous companies that have just machines and no people. And so I know all this stuff, and most people in the blockchain community don't. They're waiting for not good stuff, like I was talking over you, I'm sorry. They're looking for cool projects. Cool projects do not make money in the real world. Here's all these developers, all these ICOs that are going on. You and me could get together, and in fact, let's do it. Let's get a betting pool together about a series of these projects, and when all that money they got runs out, they're all bleeding out right now, creating cool stuff that cannot be sold in the real world, Even if they get to the end of the thing, we've created this banana blockchain thing. Okay, who the hell's going to buy banana blockchain? Why don't you just call it pretzel blockchain? Why don't you try selling that?
Pretzels would probably sell better.
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah, crypto pretzel.
Yeah, it works.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed you clearly have something really apparent just from being on the Titanium website very, very quickly when I first came across you guys when you were still in ICO was a point about how you're going to use the Ethereum network to its fullest capabilities. And it did make me think straight away. It's like, yeah, really, a lot of these ICOs, they're just kind of using it for the smart contract to take the money. And that's really the only reason it's on Ethereum. There's no other reason. It's just, well, we can take money and send send shit back, but there's never really any depth to it. There's never any like, well, let's utilize the blockchain for this. And I often have arguments with people. I call them conversations, but my friends will call them arguments. Where I talk about how, widespread adoption of blockchain as a technology, like if governments, for example, if governments had all the public spending on the blockchain, our taxes wouldn't be anywhere near what they are. If we could see where everything was going, stuff like that. So I see like a real revolutionary thing with blockchain. And it was nice. It's just really refreshing to, huh?
I said, let's do it. Everybody maybe talks about blockchain is the future. Ethereum can do all this stuff, and yet nobody's doing it, including the Ethereum team. Why is Titanium going to be the first one to slap Raiden on there and test out this Visa-like Steeds thing? And we're going to beat them. Like I said recently, we'll beat them to the punch. Why? They should have done that. I mean, when I went out to ICO-wise, when I thought of Titanium, at first I was like an investor. I'm like, wow, I'm going to go find 5 of these infrastructure as a service, for example, ICOs out there, and I'm going to have to choose the right one. I started thinking about, what are the criteria to delineate which one was the best, and found none. And so I'm like, okay, Titanium.
Yeah, there's a lot of holes in them.
Yeah. This earthquake analogy that I'm glad you got. It's like, you talk about disruption. Okay, disruption in California is the 1994 Northridge earthquake that severed freeways and twisted steel like pretzels. That's disruption here. And I just wanted anybody, and it ended up being us, to leverage the full potential of blockchain technology, Ethereum and otherwise, and show the world what disruption really means. And Titanium's first product is the foundation. It's essentially the decentralized Internet 3.0 backbone that we're going to be able to build. And when I looked out on this balcony right here to all these houses in Hollywood, there's some that are big, small, fancy, not so fancy, but they all had to have that foundation, right?
Foundation.
Start somewhere. And I said, okay, here we're going to go. We're going to go on out and say, you want stronger than steel foundation. Here it is, guys. You want it? Or I'm going to go to competitor next. You want it first?
Awesome. So with that in mind, taking a look at your roadmap, I know it's a bit blurry behind me, but you should know it inside out anyway.
I see.
So we've got another quarter of like audits and revisions happening by the looks of it. Your launch, your main launch, when's that kind of, have you got a date for that yet? Or is it just hovering somewhere between Q2 and Q3? No.
See, this is where the brutally honest guy, that I say I am comes into play. That thing sucks. I mean, I've been trying to change that roadmap for like 3 months. Nobody's freaking doing it. I think I've got to get out electric shock rods to graphics guys. Did you do it yet? No. Is that what I need to do? So the thing you have to pay attention to is on the upper left, in Q1, it says, core infrastructure as a service platform release. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so before March 1st, we're going to have our minimum viable product out in the form of infrastructure as a service. And that right there, the thing behind you that I really do want to change, all kidding aside, it's the entire Titanium ecosystem, every single one of our products, okay. and when it will come out. Because my idea behind the Titanium ecosystem is to make it, I know you're in the wrong country for this, but we have a store called Costco here. And at first it was for, wholesalers. You could come in and buy a bunch of tomatoes or whatever, cigarettes, to sell. But now you can go in there and buy 1 tomato, your next car, a vacation, I don't know, everything. And so I wanted to do that. And I don't know if you're, familiar with an old band, called the Eagles or not, but they have a hit that's called Hotel California. And I like to... Yeah, okay. And so I'm not going to go into what it's about. It's kind of dark and ominous, but there's a line in there that I use to describe the Titanium ecosystem, which is, sure, you can check out, but you never leave. and that's what I want. I want people to go in there and find everything that they need blockchain-wise to start a company, create escrow, so you don't have to go to an escrow company to sell your house or your car, a lot of things that have real-world uses, that I can say I could go to existing customers and say, here, this is obvious you'd like this, and I'm doing that now. I can't say who I just went to, but I went to a very large decision maker in the entertainment industry earlier this week, and this dude, according to the guy that introduced me, which is a connection, said he's usually like this, yeah, that's good, on his phone. Yeah, sounds good. Now, he's talking to me, phone's down, It's buzzing all the time. It's ringing at least 3-4 times.
He's just tuned in, listening.
Tunnel vision. He's
Awesome.
like, what? Yeah, and I'm not patting myself on the back, but just to get across the powerful impact that titanium has when it's presented by me to somebody like this, and he gets it, it's like, this dude set a Guinness World Record for the amount of times the word genius can be used in 1 hour. I mean, this guy was like, what? It does what? You know,
awesome.
All you have to do is cheaper, faster, better, you know, and then I just stopped. All the rest is kind of like frosting on the cake, you know.
Yeah, see, my phrase has always been in business: don't innovate, replicate, and then make it better.
Yeah.
So it's the easiest start, you know.
Yeah, this isn't new. Okay, the infrastructure as a service has been around for a long time. We're just doing it better and correctly. I know what the problems are because I saw them all the time, and I just kept on waiting for the existing, you know, our competition to fix it. But they're, you know, kind of like IBM when Apple went whizzing by them. We're number one. You know, why should we change? You know, they're almost like cartels, like OPEC or whatever. They get together, Microsoft Azure and Amazon. What are we going to charge this quarter? You know, this type of thing. And I'm like, forget charging. You know, you're overpriced. You know, improve the obvious weaknesses of your product. So I got sick and tired of waiting for them to improve their own product. So I'll just put out a better product.
Like I mean, the one stat that you mention a lot on like media materials and even on the American Airlines ad that you just put on your channel that fucking completely amazes me was it 70% of traffic goes through one place? It's just reliant on one place.
I didn't want to, you know, especially since, you know, you're the guy, and I just found out about you. You're kind of hidden from view, and I didn't want to do the same thing over and over. But I love telling that story because the thing is, I've been in technology for 20 years now, and I've never heard of this damn thing, you know, because I was just doing my titanium thing, and somebody just popped it into something like Telegram or Discord, and it's like, hey, Mike, have you heard of the Dulles Technology Corridor? I'm like, no. You know, and that's kind of interesting because it's right in the heart of Washington, right by Washington, D.C.'s airport. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but there must be something behind the fact that nobody knows about this damn thing. You know, it's got to be something that has to be done. You know, some palms have to be in grease. Yeah, don't talk about it. You know, that type of thing. Make sure it's not in the media, not on Fox News, anything like that. But the Dulles Technology Corridor, in all seriousness, is in Virginia, near Dulles Airport for Washington, D.C. And in 2009, 30% of America's internet traffic went through this area. You know, I guess it's cheap for data centers is what it comes down to. Or whatever, some political stuff is going on.
They're spying on people, surely. There's got to be a monitoring station. That's not a conspiracy. That's a Snowdenism, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like Alex Jones Jr. on your show. I mean, you never get a second time to get a second chance to do a first impression. Whatever. I'll just say, sure, whatever you say, man.
I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, fine. I'm not disagreeing. I'm not agreeing either. So 2013, 4 years later, and now it's been 4 more years, right? 70% of the world's internet traffic goes through this area. And I forgot the name of the guy who wrote the book, but when he found out about this, he wrote a book about it, not about this, but about a bunch of stuff. He mentioned the Dulles Technology Corridor, and he calls it the bullseye on America. And I'm like, a bullseye? What are you talking about? And it took like 3 milliseconds. I'm like, holy shit. You know, I've seen a bunch of those, you know, action movies or science fiction movies, and there's this thing called an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, or the slang term for it is a pinch, okay? And if a terrorist, it's a terrorist bullseye is what he's talking about. And if you put an EMP in there, which is real, right? If you put an EMP in there and it goes off, 70% of the world's communication, it's done. And the reason why is because Amazon and Azure are greedy bastards, is what it comes down to. Instead of spreading things all over the place like titanium's decentralized around the globe, right? Can you imagine these guys in there? Well, we can't do that. We have to take in $300 billion a quarter. That would take us down to $275 billion, and that is not acceptable.
So that's when margin overtakes innovation, I guess, and common sense.
Yeah.
It's
like they hold it to shareholders right now, I think.
I see it really apparent where I live. I live in the Costa del Sol in Spain. I moved here about kind of 8 years ago. And we've got like a lot of high-rise apartment blocks. They're not where I live, but just down the coast. All these high-rise apartment blocks because of this big boom in the 70s where accountants were building properties. It wasn't architects; it was accountants. It was like, look, we've got this premium little bit of land. How do we maximize it? And the end result, 30 years later, it's an eyesore. It's the ugliest thing you've ever seen. But it's similar kind of thing. You have these great ideas that start off as, hey, we'll have this. We'll do this. It'll be great. And then a few years down the line, it's just people counting money. Just going, yeah, okay. So I get that. It's good to see somebody doing something about it, and it'll be pretty awesome to see that. I don't know, just coming alive over the next couple of years. One thing I did want to ask you, I don't know if it's a rumor, masternodes. Is that something coming to titanium?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like. I mean, I'm not a dictator, I go to my team, and I've not really been a proponent of proof of stake for a long time. And in fact, when I've been doing like meetups up until just recently, when I talked to a gentleman that's a technical advisor on our team, actually, about the right way to do it, this type of thing. I used to bring up proof of work versus proof of shit, POS, because I've been waiting again. I've been waiting for somebody to come out with the better dash kind of thing. Is what I wanted, because I've always had these problems with master nodes and people with enough money, building a bunch of them, and then you're not really in control of the network any longer. Because if you had a master node, right, and I was, Warren Buffett, and you have, it's worth $100,000 to you, and I offer you $250,000, you say no, and I say, okay, $500,000, and eventually your number is going to get hit, because that number is what that guy spends on dinner on Saturday night, man. He could take over that. He's like, what if you woke up one day, and fortunately he's old, and blockchain's kind of like out in the distance for him. He doesn't know about it. It's like, woke up one day and like, kind of bored today. I think I'm going to take over Dash. Starts buying them all. Yeah. Don't know what to do with it, but I have complete control of it, and that makes me feel real good. Like that. And so I was talking to an advisor of ours, and I can't really go into detail because I'm under NDA, but non-disclosure NDA. And he came out with the better dash, and so I need to see it. I need to be in a face-to-face meeting with this gentleman, because he speaks like a machine gun, on Normandy Beach, and so I've got to see it on a whiteboard. But yeah, I think if it proves to be exactly what the gentleman said, and as good as he said, I have no problem in embracing such a concept, because although anybody who knows me would not describe me as a tree hugger, as we like to say here in America, I don't want to see clouds of garbage belching out into the sky, and waste of energy and resources. So if we could adopt a hybrid, it wouldn't be completely proof of stake. There would be proof of work and proof of stake, kind of like Casper and Metropolis release of Ethereum. Then I would do that, because it would. I can tell by your accent that the country I'm about to mention is close to home to you, but I don't know how long it was. That's why I was kind of surprised. It's Spain, really? So there's a stat. It was just the Bitcoin miners, and in a typical year, and this was a little while ago, and of course the amount of mining. Okay. So in that year, they used more electrical energy than the entire country of Ireland.
Jesus.
Just Bitcoin. Okay, and that's ridiculous. So if there is a better dash, and I can embrace that idea, I say, okay, I've seen it live, face to face, and we prove it out, in development, not production, then I have no problem going with.
I'm pretty sure the better dash is coming out on the 13th of February. I'm fairly certain it is. I've got money on it. So I invested in Halo, and I think that's the better dash. So check them out. But
unfortunately, I've never heard of it. I'm kind of blind. I had the blinders on about titanium. So what?
But I mean, I heard a really good argument for proof of stake over proof of work a few days ago. Someone was saying, proof of work's great. It's better. It makes things more tangible in terms of seeing what people are doing. But the problem is miners can point. If they get bored of mining one coin, they can just point it at something else. Where with a masternode, it's kind of, you've got that commitment from people. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like
Yeah.
that, you know. So I think it'd be great to see it on titanium. That'd be awesome,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
the
It's
amount I've
gonna
got.
separate them. Yeah. It's gonna separate the men from the boys, right?
For sure, man, for sure.
But I like that too. I like that about that too. It's like who's got skin in the game is what we'd say in America, at least. You know, I don't know how that is worldwide or not. You know, but it does prove. You know, it's not. Yeah, I love titanium. It's I don't have to say anything. I obviously love titanium. You know, that kind of thing. No. So you're absolutely right. You know, especially with GPU mining, you could say, I want to mine Ethereum today. No, I want to mine Zcash. You know, that type of thing is eliminated too.
Well,
And these
don't let
are
Roger Ver hear you say B cash.
oh,
Love
no
it.
comment. I'm
Awesome,
going to turn on the
awesome.
political switch.
So, just wanted to quickly touch on, because I know you're a busy guy, so I don't want to take too much of your time, but I just wanted to touch on some of the partnerships that you've got into recently. I saw the video with one of your titanium girls, the English girl. I forget her name. What's her name? Oh, God.
Denise.
Denise.
How
Yeah,
do you
Denise.
forget this girl? Huh?
I like your hiring style. But
Sorry? You kind of went in and out.
oh, I like your hiring style.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
it is.
there's a lot of criteria involved.
Yeah.
Believe me, there's like 20 things. Or there's just one.
But she mentioned about voice, and obviously your passion for music anyway, which I found out before I'd even backed you at ICO. So I didn't really see it as a surprise that you would do something in that space. Can we expect a lot more awesome partnerships coming out of you, like kind of in that realm, or you know, is that just in terms of like a music platform for blockchain? Is that your way of kind of saying no, that this is the one? This is just forget all the other ones, just this one.
No, well, yeah, not necessarily. You know, it's not like I'm picking, you know, or anything like that. But and I'm not actively searching. I now have, I hate to say, you know, a few young gentlemen here in Los Angeles looking for, you know, whatever that asset was that you just talked about. It's part of their job to go and go find good stuff for Mike, you know, because I'm gonna, you know, agree with you.
Nice.
But it came to my attention. They actually approached me, the CEO of Voice did, and so as soon as I looked into it, then you know the guy with the Jackson in his hands, you know, was like, God, you know, this is great. I mean,
I'm doing this.
Is it you know, it wasn't like a burning bush or the Red Sea parted or anything like that, but it was the first platform that came to me that had to do with music, you know, that had made sense. You know, I could see that being used. Again, we're not partnering with everybody. I have to see it being sold in the outside world, outside this, you know, 2 to 3%, you know, blockchain subculture. I need to, you know, bash that hole outside of the blockchain subculture to the real world. And also, I never had to, you know, worry about having enough gigs to pay for food or anything like that. I was a kid in college, you know, I just kind of played on the side so that I could, you know, go buy books, you know, or things like that. And I had fun doing it. At least I wasn't mopping, you know, the mess hall or what other kids were doing. But I became a professional and I did music on the side. Even these albums that I did, I just took some time off, you know, from my technology career. And I used the money that I made in my technology career. I was extremely fortunate. And I used that, you know, to kind of fund my world tour, you know, that I always wanted to do before, you know. Things to do before Mike dies, world tour, rock album, you know, that kind of thing. But I do have a lot of sympathy because I do have some ties to regular musicians, you know, working musicians, and they struggle as it is. And so when this platform came out and I found out what it did, and it was point to point, and they got most of the money, I couldn't help but, you know, this kind of, you know, struck a chord with me, and that's why the partnership with Voice, you know, came to be. It's real world use, and me being, you know, a musician too, I couldn't help but embrace that. But to answer your other idea, I was fully expecting to announce 3 partnerships last week. There's a couple more that are just on the edge, and they're both extremely exciting. And one of them at least has a obvious synergy with titanium, and I'm personally excited about that. I keep on prodding them. Can we announce it yet? Can we announce it yet? Like this. So look for more, and I'll continue to do that because, like I said, you know, circling the wagons, as we said, in the 1850s. When you do that, everybody that's outside, in this case, this blockchain alliance that I'm building, which is essentially I'm kind of branding the Better Business Bureau of blockchain. If it's involved with Mike and Titanium, the Boy Scout of blockchain here, the good guy, then it's not a scam. It's got real world use. Hey, it's probably a good investment, this type of thing. And as time goes on, more and more. And now the people on the outside, let's say that they're not the bad guys. They're just good guys that haven't aligned themselves over here. They're going to feel compelled to come over here because it's like people are going to start, like yourself. You probably do this thing. It's like, well, hey, it's involved with Mike and Titanium. Well, it's obviously not bad guys, and it's probably a good investment. And like he said, they're going to probably sell something to Walt Disney, this type of thing. And these guys are going to be like, okay, we're missed boat here. We've got to get that Better Business Bureau thing, just like I did, Better Business Bureau done in Bradstreet. If you don't do that, then you're at an unfair disadvantage, competitive disadvantage. And so I'm going to keep on doing that. And pretty soon, I will, the new sheriff's in town thing, right? I'm draining the swamp. All the bad guys are either going to go away because all their money's going to go away, right? Everybody that is giving them money is not going to anymore. They're going to go over here, and they can't get over here because we're going to go through the Titanium checklist, and we're going to find out that they're bad guys. And it's like, take a hike, Jack. Bye. You're out there. You're outside in circle. And everybody's going to know now because as soon as I deny somebody, just like I announce a partnership and I've not denied anybody, right? Oh, yeah. You see where I'm going now, right? Then Big Mouth tells you, the world, that you were just denied, and here's why. And that's like they're blackballed. That is it. Oh, did you hear what Mike said about them? Oh my God.
You've also just made my job on YouTube so much easier. I spend like 9-10 hours a day researching through stuff, and sometimes I get it wrong, sometimes I get it right. Now I'm just gonna just stalk you. Just go, okay, what's Mike adding? There we go. I'll review that then.
There's a bunch of people doing it. Just jump right in. There's a bunch that's doing that now. Anyway, I'm going to walk outside. Hey, Mike, how you doing? People show up randomly around here. I actually so far I've been lucky. They haven't been anybody too weird.
I may be one of these. I may be one of those people later this year. I'm actually heading to Hollywood, and I'm doing like a little mini American tour. Man. So yeah,
I gave you a copy of the lease. You know exactly where our office is here in Noble Professional Center, Suite 200. I just talked to the guy who's doing the painting. I'm surprised. I thought we would move in on March 1st, but the guy said that he'd have the new carpet and the baseboard thing and all that stuff, paint, carpet done as soon as the end of next week.
That did make me laugh.
There, as you know.
I heard you say that before about the new carpet. I'm thinking, fucking hell, $35 million on carpet.
No.
They got all this money. It's like, yeah, we're getting the carpet. It's like, what is it? Like a Persian?
No, sir. Yeah, it's just normal, because I've got a fiduciary responsibility to you, for instance, and I could have gone to one of these skyscrapers down the street that I'd show you. You can actually see one of them, from our window, and I could have paid $10,000 a month, instead of, I think it's $3,800, for our 1,500 square foot space in Noble Professional Center, but it's absolutely not necessary, and it would be a waste of your money. And I'm going to do that. I'm still a country boy. I grew up in the country in a very small village, population like 500 to 750 people, and I'm a classic example of you can take the boy out of the country, but not the country out of the boy. Now, there's some bad things about that, like Leonard Skinner and Jack Daniels and shotguns, but the good thing is that I am the same guy that I was then. The Boy Scout. I really was a Boy Scout. I really was the youth fellowship. The Presbyterian Church Youth Fellowship president. I'm like the angelic guy. I was named right.
The Holy Avenger.
Yeah, that Holy Avenger. Exactly. You see where that came from?
Oh man, awesome.
Yeah. I've got another prop for you. Yeah. I mean, here it is on my desk. You like it?
Awesome.
Yeah. I really know who I'm named after, and I know the difference between good and evil and all that. But anyways, no, I wouldn't do that, If I've got $35 million, I'm not going to spend it on expensive carpet. I'm going to spend it on expensive blockchain developers so that our products get, out there sooner than later. And that roadmap that's behind you is shortened, I wanted to do that around the world. The sun never sets on the titanium development thing, but that's going to be expensive. We've got a supply and demand thing going on, and there's very few Ethereum developers in general, and there's very few on top of that that are going to meet my criteria, because for titanium, good is never good enough. When I say, what, titanium's not ordinary, we're extraordinary, it's not like a sales line. EHI, it stands for excellence, honesty, and integrity, by the way, because that's what I stand for. That's where that came from. And the first letter is very important in the discussion right now. Good is not good enough. It has to be excellent, okay? Because I want titanium to be excellent, not good. Good's not good enough, But that means I have to go after the excellent blockchain developers and personnel in general, and supply and demand takes over. They're more expensive. They're most likely not hanging out watching reruns of black and white I Love Lucy reruns on TV during the day. They're probably working for Monero or Dash or whatever. So here's Mike using that money the right way. I didn't spend it on the Persian carpet or the big office, right? So I'm going to cherry pick them. I'm just going to be like, I'm going to pay 10% more. No, 15, 20. And eventually, just like Warren Buffett and the master nodes joke, this is no joke. They're going to work for titanium. That's it. They leave. That's how I'm going to use your money. I'm going to make sure I've got the best people in the world. They're working 24/7, and everything on that chart to the over your shoulder there gets done that much quicker, and it gets done excellent, not good.
Man, I love your confidence. It's just infectious. It's so awesome. I'm feeling pumped right now. I'm thinking I'm going to have to sell all my other holds to load up on more bar.
No, you don't have to do that. No, it's just I know what team I've got, and yes, I am very confident. It's just because I know what we're doing. I know the people I've got, and I know it's not a if, it's a when. All these things, and when we're done with that, that's just like the check boxes. Titanium ecosystem part 1, infrastructure as a service. Check. Next.
Sweet.
And then all those things there. Yeah, we'll just do that. Hopefully, I'll actually start signing customers. They'll start saying, sure, Mike, we'll try titanium infrastructure as a service in our development environment. So then we have revenue coming in at the same time, and then I get even more developers, and then infrastructure as a service is down the road, but then I can have another team that circles the globe working on initiative 2. This is my optimal situation. But even if that doesn't play out, I'm very confident that will happen, but I cannot guarantee anything. I'm not Nostradamus. But if that doesn't happen, we just finish infrastructure as a service and start on the next one. And then 2020 comes and the ecosystem is there, and then we just kind of fine-tune stuff. People like you, hopefully, will say, hey, Mike, I just tried this product of yours over here, and it's great, except for this thing right here, it sucks. You got to fix that damn thing. And that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear. I don't want, yeah, it's great. I've got plenty of yes men and yes girls or whatever. Michael, you're so wonderful. I'm like, yeah, that's what my mom says. It's got to be true. But I want people to say, this is what's wrong, or this is an opportunity for improvement, because that's how titanium improves. We need constructive criticism and brutal honesty. When I say I want that type of stuff, I'm not kidding. I really want it.
Fucking awesome, man. Fucking awesome. Well, Michael, I've got to say, absolute pleasure to have spoken to you. If I wasn't bullish on titanium before, I certainly am now. Obviously, if you've ever watched any of my videos, which you probably haven't because they're rubbish.
I did one.
But
no, you're doing a great job, man.
But man, as soon as I found out about titanium, I've been very excited. I've been trying to get hold of you for like weeks, like even before the ICO. Yeah. I was like sending emails,
really?
talk to me, damn it.
Really? Holy shit!
Yeah, there'll be emails.
I'm really sorry.
Telegrams.
Yeah. No.
I tried to get your attention in Telegram the other week. You were in saying sort of hello to everyone. I was like, quick, put the Holy Avenger picture in there. And I was like, nah, he's gone.
Yes. Unfortunately, it's true. And one last thing, you're not alone. See, because I didn't expect titanium to do this parabolic thing. I just thought slow and steady, and we get past the finish line that we hit the 35 million. But what happened, and when that happened, I was already a known person within the blockchain community, but that basically turned into times 10 to times 100, somewhere in that area. And I started getting literally 1,000 emails a day, and I got like 10,000 messages a day. And so after the show, right, or offline, what I'm going to do is I've got 2 phones. I'll show them to you. This is the phone that had your message on it that is totally unusable now. because it's just scrolling notifications. And so this is the unusual phone that I keep. But here, sir, is the phone that I just got, the red phone. And I'm going to give you this information so that when you want to contact me again, it goes here. And right now, 5 to 10 people know this phone's number and information, but you're going to be one of them, and then that won't happen again.
You're a gent, Michael.
Sometimes I've got my moments.
Awesome. Well, once again, dude, thank you very much. Keep on rocking as well. Don't ever stop that shit. And
Horns up, man. I'm recording my 3rd album right now. I kid you not. There's a music producer in Orlando. He's a big Titanium guy. And I've already talked to him, and he's already said, I'll record your album for you, and he's hooked up with some pretty, interesting people.
Well, if you need a guest guitarist to show you how to do a proper solo,
bring it. Oh, I got extra guitars. I mean, when you come to Hollywood, I'm going to consider.
I'm a Les Paul man now. Have you got a Les Paul kicking around?
Okay, I'm going to tell you before anybody else. I'm going to give you the scoop, right? So I can't tell you the concert, but there's going to be an upcoming music concert, and Titanium is going to be the sponsor.
Oh,
okay?
Awesome.
Yeah. So
awesome.
This guy, like one of the kids that works for me, I'm like, I've always been beating around the bush. I'm like, I got to get a white guitar, and I'm going to put the Titanium logo on it, and I'm going to change the fret markers, and have it be the key, You know me, I'm always like, hey, how can we market this and brand it, And he happens to know a guy. He's a guitarist and a music producer down here on Sunset Strip. He came up to meet me one day, and he's always just like a typical guy like that. I used to do it. I'd go guitar shop to guitar shop. I'd be Googling things, finding things, and he gets in touch with me this one day. He hits the red phone up, and I'm like, okay, it's got to be important. And he's like, Mike, there is a white custom Les Paul down the street from you.
Don't. That is my dream guitar.
I got it. I'll show it to you. And he's like, it's just like Randy Rhoads from Ozzy. I'm like, I'm effing there. I was literally on the phone with the customer. Hopefully they don't watch this. And I'm like, yeah, guys, I just caught malaria. Got to run. And I went down to this place. Sure enough, there it was, man. I played it a little bit. The action was high, so I'm having it set up right, but it's a custom.
Gold hardware or silver hardware?
Gold.
Oh, nice. That is my dream guitar. I've got a video of me in a band on YouTube from a few years ago, about 11 years ago, and I've got a white Les Paul Studio, and I used to pretend it was the custom. But back then, I could get a custom for like £3,000 or 3,000 euros. You look now, gee, they're like fucking 6,000, 7,000, 20,000 for a really good one. It's like, oh man, I can't justify that.
Yeah, I got it on sale for like $6,000. That was before tax.
Sweet.
USD. Yeah, but it's good price. I mean, I got the mic discount because I was a pal, But you don't have to bring a guitar when we jam, right? Well, the point is that I'm putting my band together again, right? And I'm going to play at that rock concert that we sponsor with this white Les Paul with the Titanium stuff on it, and the fret markers that are all P's. But when you come here, there's a great practice studio that's in Northridge. It's not too far from here. It's actually very nice. It's like walking into somebody's apartment here in North Hollywood, not this rundown crap that I was used to. And you can play your dream guitar,
awesome.
My custom white Les Paul, man.
What do you play it through, though? Are you a Marshall man, a PV man, a Black Star man?
Line 6. It's back here. You can't.
Line 6. Oh, yeah, I see it. I didn't notice the half stack in the background. Is that a Line 6 Spider next to it as well? You've got the 212 Spider next to it.
That's my practice amp. Yeah. When I plug in here, I've got a couple of kids, and this is my home ops until, we move across the street to Noble Professional Center. But when they're not sleeping and they're out, then I shake the walls a little and piss off my neighbors, and hopefully they'll call the police on me, it's me being a bad guy, stepping out my good guy role, It's like, yeah. But the Line 6 there, it's crazy. They just came out with it. I think it's the V, the 5, Line 6 half stack. 240 watts, man.
Nice. Drummer killer. That's what I call a drummer killer.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, unless they're mic'd up, that thing's good with the Shure SM57s. Now you really know what I'm talking about. I've proven myself. You turn that thing on, and the windows over here are just gonna go blasting out. It's gonna be like glass shards going across my neighbors' houses.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm a sucker for musical equipment. I actually just bought myself I just got myself a nice Rode mic for my USB Rode mic for the quality. I saw it. I was like, got to have that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah, because I saw your last video because it was brought to my attention, and I watched it, and you were bragging about this new road mic, and that's a serious mic, man.
I love
That's
it. I love
serious. It sounds great.
it.
I love
My new
the
toy.
sound of it. You sound like an FM. Yeah, but you sound like an FM radio disc jockey with that damn
Yeah,
thing.
it's like twice the price of an SM57, and it goes into a USB port, so it's like
Oh,
there's all these.
man.
Everything else has got like
Cool.
like the proper mic connection, and it's no good for a laptop. So this is a great find. It's my baby.
Oh, oh yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
I bet you kiss it before you go to bed at night. Am I right?
Pretty much. I have to do video when I do interviews. I have to do them at my. I've got a couple of holiday apartments because where I live in the country in Spain, so I've got no internet where I live. So I always come here because we've got fiber optic, and I couldn't actually work out how to dismantle the road mic to put it in the case. So I actually had it. It was raining today, so I actually had it in my jacket, almost like a baby, like you would look after a baby. I was like, "Don't get wet, don't knock the wall."
Are you warm enough? Are you feeling okay?
I'll warm it up later. It'll be fine. He'll be fine. Listen, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure. I'm going to let you go do some awesome stuff and start bringing us some really, really cool news. Absolute pleasure, mate. Really is.
Yeah. Have me on again soon, man. Little while.
Definitely.
Maybe I'll get in touch with you. I'll use the red phone. I'll give you the red phone information after I get off the interview.
Sweet.
And then when something good comes up, I'll let you know, and we'll hop back on again.
Definitely, man. Definitely. I look forward to it. Cool.
Okay.
Take it easy, Michael.
You too.
Speak to you soon,
Horns
man.
up, man.
Peace.
Rock on.